Lately, I've been kinda drained creatively, and alongside that, I've been kinda famished. I gotta bulk up, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, I need a way to fix this. I gotta find some brain food that's specifically catered to creativity. So here we go, I'm just gonna find the most creative thing I can find. Oh, look at that, the creative tie to the rest of the video. LittleBigPlanet, isn't that creative? Alright, here we go.
Many people nowadays will point to characters like Kratos or Nathan Drake as the mascot of PlayStation. But for me, there will only ever be one real face that I deem the top icon of the brand. And that is Parappa the Rapper.
Sony hasn't paid me royalties in months.
But a close second would have to go to Sackboy, the franchise player of the PlayStation 3, and star of the LittleBigPlanet series of games that I'm sure you guys haven't heard about. I mean, it is pretty niche. Cast your mind back to 2006. A little group of developers who had just made their smash hit, Ragdoll Kung Fu, came together to create their own game studio, one that would become known as Media Molecule. With a small team in hand, they got straight to work on a project codenamed The Next Big Thing, and though this wasn't a game centered on Brock Lesnar, they certainly were about to have a beast of an idea on their hands. LittleBigPlanet was pitched to Sony, and if only they knew the roller coaster of emotions the series was going to go on from here. Gamers of 2008 were no doubt patiently waiting for that September release date. That is until the game got delayed for having quotes from the Quran in a background track of the game. On October 24th, 2008, the game released to widespread acclaim, leading to Sony acquiring Media Molecule in 2010. So, hey, good for them. But the question is, was this game deserving of all of its praise? Was this game really the titan that Sony needed to combat the mascot supremacy of Nintendo? Was this game the system seller the people needed to finally sink $600 into the PlayStation 3? Was it good?
Well, gee, I don't know. Watch the rest of the video and find out, f***er.
Now, as a... I have nobody to play this with, and considering this is a game from 2008, the online for this isn't even functional anymore. And if you know anything about LittleBigPlanet, a major component of it is the online. So with that said, I'm going to be looking at these first couple of games purely from the standpoint of the single player mode and their mechanics.
So now it's time to look at LittleBigPlanet 1, the video game for the PlayStation 3. The video game.
So the game is a platformer, you know, like Mario. You run, make precise jumps, don't f*** up, get to the end, win. But see, with LittleBigPlanet, there's a tiny little crucial issue with one of these mechanics, and that issue is the goddamn ragdoll feeling ass jumps.
Like, I get it, the guy's a sack, but that doesn't mean you should be making his jumps feel like you're throwing a garbage bag into the air and have it wobble around aimlessly.
My point is, the jumps feel inconsistent, and this can be for a lot of reasons. A large part of which is, yeah, thanks to the mechanics and programming. However, I'm also pretty sure it's due to the fact that the buttons on the PS3 controller are pressure sensitive, meaning you get a variety of different jump sizes. You know how in Mario you can do a small tap to get a small jump, a normal press for the normal jump, or press and hold for a super long jump? It's like that, except there's 10 different sizes, all controlled just by how hard you pressed a single button. Oh, did you press it like you were trying to squish an ant? Sorry, we wanted you to press it as if you were squishing a roach. And like, it's not miserable, the jumps are functional, but sometimes there can be a little bit of BS. The game's physics can get a bit wacky sometimes, and the jumps are a large part of this wackiness. But I mean, hey, just as elementary school girls learn, jumping high isn't everything, boys.
Miranda Cosgrove, I know you're single. I jump real high and my DMs are open, if you get what I'm saying, motherfucker!
The game has got one more major movement option hidden up his sleeve. Give that left stick a flick up or down, and you're shifting between the layers of the level. That's right, this ain't a 2D platformer, this is a 2.5D platformer. Now this is a good mechanic. Platforming is spiced up just a teensy bit, and the level designs are much less rudimentary thanks to this feature. Like, you know how in Mario, sorry I keep bringing him up, I know what he's done, you kinda ask yourself like, why are these here? I mean, you can try building scenery in Mario games, but I mean, a lot of the time, it doesn't really feel like you're traversing a world, more so that you're traversing a platforming level. Now, as the franchise progressed, yeah, it got much better. I mean, now look, You got snow! 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 But honestly, I'd still say Little Big Planet does this much better. The hill in the very first level does a great job of showing you the aesthetic potential this mechanic brings, but also showcases how to use the mechanic itself. And as well as that, in that very same first level, you can see secrets hidden in the background, giving you the idea, maybe they hide stuff that I can only access by shifting back and forth. And guess what? They do! Good mechanic! Yelling makes my argument stronger. As stated earlier, these feel like actual places a lot of the time. Every area has literal depth to it, which makes the designers able to make levels where you can traverse a large handful of varied locales like rooftops, cliffs, buildings, or caverns. Now, that may not sound like much, but in comparison to other platformers, every level just feels so much more different than the last. Whereas in many games, you'll have worlds themed around a different area and maybe have a little divergence from it every once in a while. Generally speaking, they'll have very similar, samey feels visually. Meanwhile, with Little Big Planet, I feel this game really does a great job at doing the opposite of that. Like, can you even tell me what the f is going on here? No, you can't. And that's a good thing. And also, if you can't tell, the designs for the characters in the world around you looks like it's all made in an arts and crafts project, and I think the design works wonderfully in junction with the game's emphasis on creativity. It's pretty well implemented. What isn't well implemented, though, are those goddamn multiplayer sections! Again, this is under the idea that I'm playing these games as a easy go with no friends, so to just have these pop up out of the blue and limit my ability to get all the prizes in a level while I'm trying my best to 100% the game is just so heartbreaking. Many of you may be asking though, hey, wait, you said prizes, what do you mean by that? I will tell you, please pipe down, you question-filled bastards.
Hey! Hey!
Prizes are interspersed throughout each level and give you access to creative elements in the game. Costumes for Sackboy, stickers, decorations, or even materials to use in your own user-created levels are all what pertain to these little bubbles. They make a fun noise. Some of these are easy to get, and some of them are cleverly hidden for astute players as rewards for exploration. And others are this bullshit. If you collect all the prizes in a level, you get bonus prizes too, so you bet your ass I was trying to get all of them. Unfortunately, as previously stated, I had to settle. But don't worry, I got over it. As well as those, however, you get bonus prizes for clearing a level with no deaths as well. And a bonus for clearing the level for the first time. Now again, I did try to ace the levels with no deaths, as they call it, but considering some of the difficulty in the later levels, I again had to settle. But don't worry, I got over it. But with that said, now we get into what I see as the best part of Little Big Planet 1, the story. Haven't played The Last of Us 1 or 2, haven't beaten Red Dead Redemption 1 or 2, and I'm still waiting for Mother 3 to be localized. So if you want reasoning as to why I'm able to say that with a straight face, there you go. You start out in the Gardens, a depiction of England, and a damn fine one at that. There's a king, a queen, Humpty Dumpty, and a little f***wit in a race car. You know, British stuff. This is the tutorial world, so things aren't going to be the most distinct in regards to visuals, as the devs were likely more concerned with teaching players the mechanics and controls rather than wowing them with snow, or cherry blossoms, or other interesting visuals. But there are cool aspects to the design of these levels, like the ghosts in the third level and the fact that you get to go into a castle. Those are both kind of neat details. Also, who the f*** is that? Some of the things they show you in this are the controls, jetpacks, which are a tool players can use to do stuff for a level, I guess. Kinda cool and fun. A little niche though. And also, races. These show up sometimes and are really just kinda pointless. But hey, for the aspiring player in 2008 who really wanted to have the highest score on Skate to Victory out of all their PlayStation friends, these races are life and death. Anywho, you end with the king putting you on a submarine so you can go to the savannah. Those levels are based in Africa. Remember that thing I said about the Quran earlier? Yeah, this is the world the song was located in, but this is where things start to get interesting. The platforming has you jumping across alligators, over burning trees, and through a meerkat hideout, all to assist a lion in regaining control of his land. The lion is mad because the buffalo are spooked about something, which turns out to be a fire caused by crocodiles. The crocodiles are pissed because the king croc is being abused by the meerkats, who think that the crocs ate the meerkat's mother's son, Stripey Tail. Also, yo, who the f*** is that? Who turns out to just be partying irresponsibly. You get all that? No. So you bring home Stripey Tail to his mom and then all is resolved. You're all good, man. Also, little note, the wiki lists this as a strip club. Okay, buddy. Then you go to The Wedding over in South America, which is based on the cultural aesthetic of the Mexican holiday Dia de los Muertos. If you want more info, go watch Coco. The first level has you discovering that Frida, the bride, believes her groom has ditched her on her wedding day. So off you go to search for him in some caverns with his dog being your guiding light throughout the way. Yippee. I love dark levels and escort levels so much. Eventually though, the dog falls down a pit and okay, no, who the fuck? You then find the husband to be who explains that he just got lost and okay, no, god damn, have some decency, man. You drag him out of the caves to bring him home to his bride, only to find that she started wrecking everything with a skulldozer in a fit of rage. Basically, to end things off, you blow up her weapon of mass destruction and she ends up miraculously coming to her senses. But apparently not entirely though, as she then invites you on her honeymoon. Anyways, next up is the canyons down in northern Mexico and Texas. This isn't problematic at all. You know, maybe you weren't so bad after all. So, alongside the incredibly tasteful representation here, we have what I like to deem as some of the most difficult levels in the entire game, Kaboomba. These levels are themed after explosives, yet to this day, my old Texas residents just never allowed fireworks, so not accurate. You start off on the aptly named Boomtown, blowing stuff up, you know, checking in on Frida and her man. Oh geez, probably should look away, you know. Okay, wait, who the fuck? But uh-oh, Uncle Jalapeno's been wrongly imprisoned by the evil Sheriff Zapta. You bust Jalapeno out of jail and move onward to go catch that rangy rapscallion. Next up is the mines. Don't know why there's so much fire, probably should look into that. And finally we have the Serpent Shrine, where we finally have a chance to brutally murder Zapta. I mean, we obliterate him. There is nothing left. He's fucking gone. Then we hop in Uncle Jalapeno's car and head over to the Metropolis. Mags the mechanic greets you as you enter this New York City inspired landscape where she sets you up with a lowrider, because of course she does. You go around driving it through what I'm gonna presume is an ambitious mix of a construction zone and an urban city street until you meet Z-Dude, who challenges you to a drag race. You beat him, and he crashes his car into the sewers, which seems all well and good, you know, who cares? Then, however, Mags realizes the car he used to race you was actually her car that he stole, and so you've gotta go down and recover it now. Next up, you go through the subways and find Mags' car alongside Z-Dude, who miraculously survived crashing through the fucking floor thanks to okay, seriously, who is that? And then finally you go through Mags' construction site and challenge Z-Dude to one final battle after jumping through all these awesome living basketballs. Then, again, thanks to the power of explosives, you take out Z-Dude and his bodyguards, and, well, he's actually pretty chill at the end, too, as he sends you over to his old karate master, Grandmaster Sensei.
Alright, we need names for our game. Does anyone here have any ideas? I got one, but question, how racist can we get with these names?
And he even lets you go over to her place on his private jet. I mean, you didn't think his outfit was for nothing now, did you? So you ride his private jet to the Islands, a place based on Japan. And before we move forward, f this catapult. It straight to hell. You're greeted by Grandmaster You're greeted by GMS, Grandmaster Sensei, who says that she vows to train you to defeat the terrible Oni. You go through her dojo of endurance, where at the end she says you need to save her flame-throwing cat from the evil sumo. Really pulling out some niche Edo period references here. Who needs Monzaimon, am I right, folks? From there, you go to a lost castle and fight Ass Man. You beat him and head off to fight the Great Oni at a volcano, and, well, does this look fun to ya? If you said kinda, well then you get the gist of how I felt. Fight this straight up badass, yet kinda uninspired and also bullshit, boss and win. After Japan, you're off to the temples in India, and I've gotta say, first and foremost, this is getting ridiculous. No, but in all seriousness, I really do like these levels. As they do have some cool designs. The first level has us going through a marketplace to get to Dancer's Court, which has you bouncing around on some very cool looking dancers. You meet a goddess at the end of the level, and that's it. I mean, really a spiritual journey when you think about it. She sends you off to the Elephant Temple in order to look for the Great Magician. I feel like I once more gotta reiterate, though, just how subdued and nuanced the stereotypes are in this game.
Hey, Ganesha, want a peanut?
Anyways, you ride an elephant to get to the Great Magician's Temple, and you go through a gauntlet of flaming platform atrocities. In the end, you meet the magician doing whatever the hell this is.
I can do it too! I can do it too! I can do it too!
And he sends you off to the next world by proving he's the second most powerful character in the canon of this game, next to Sackboy, of course, cause he can do this. Then finally, you enter the wilderness, the last world in the game, set in Russia, because it's evil.
Wow, political commentary.
This world is made by a guy named the Collector, who has this very ominous design for his portrait.
This seems like it's gonna be pretty tough, gang. I didn't really know what to put here, honestly.
First level, Siberian Russia, frozen tundra, go through the icy landscape, fight some army men, save the general.
You suck dick.
Next level, go through a bunker, save Albert No Einstein. Beat the level. Side note, this wheel was apparently so difficult for some people that Media Molecule got sent death threats. Fun! Next up, we go to the Collector's Lair, where we find a bunch of our old comrades in cages. Well, much like my head lice collection, I set all them motherfuckers free, and now we're off to the final level. Let's find out who this Collector guy really is. We start off and, okay, who the Wait, I know this guy.
It's been my finger the whole damn time!
So we beat his ass in a really easy and very underwhelming battle, and that's it. He says he has no friends, everyone forgives him, they say go make levels, and well, I can't, because the servers are dead. The end. So the story in Little Big Planet 1 isn't the best thing in the world. It's kinda junky, honestly, but I think what makes up for it is its undeniable charm. Even to this day, there's no other platformer that has any visual style like this. But aside from that, I feel that despite its stereotypical depictions, the fact that you travel the world and go to a variety of different locales inspired by real-life locations kinda puts the planet in Little Big Planet. Something I feel later iterations of the franchise don't do exactly. In addition to that, I feel the lack of a solid plot, unless you consider those background details of the Collector grabbing stuff as plot, kinda keeps you focused on these surroundings and lets you have a semi-whimsical feeling about what area you could possibly be sent to next. I know that's probably not a popular stance, but I don't know, it adds to the game's childish charm. And speaking of childish charm, I really like the way they handle the creator-curators, as they call them, and other non-playable characters in this game. They're all made from different materials and stickers, and all kind of feel like toys. None of them actually have any real voice lines, and instead talk with It's a silly aspect, but again, I think that's the point. The game gives off homemade vibes from start to finish, in both its visuals and feel, and tries to expand the player's imagination gland to get them itching to make levels themselves. It's hard to accurately explain the charm, but if you've played this game, you'll understand. Now, are there any other points I forgot? Yes, there are! The game's ace level rewards are kinda BS when you have stuff like sprinkled throughout. Some of the prizes are particularly hard to get to as well, and some are straight up not achievable the first time running through, as you'll have to have a switch activated by a sticker that you won't have until maybe the end of that world. Not a big fan of backtracking in minigames, so I'm not a fan of that. There are these keys that you can get in levels that unlock minigames. You don't really have to do anything with the minigames, you don't earn anything by doing them, so here's my question. Why bother? Finally, the DLC for this game is expansive and expensive. I have these Marvel levels and Metal Gear levels that I played through, and I gotta say, I like them both a lot, honestly. The designs for the Marvel characters can be a bit, but the platforming is cool and the costumes are even cooler. The Metal Gear one, man, cool gun, cool music. The game feels almost entirely different in these, as it does try to implement stealth into it, as much as Little Big Planet can, but still, and I'm honestly all for it. Great DLC. There's more DLC that I just straight up don't have, but I honestly just wasn't gonna go out of my way to buy that, as, I'm in college and
Overall, I love this game, despite its issues, and it does have a lot of them. Solid 8.5 out of 10. There it is, the number right there. Do you know what game isn't an 8.5 out of 10 in my eyes? Can you guess? Can you? I mean, I'm going chronologically here, and I said I'm talking about all the games, so I mean, can you guess? Can you? Can you? Can you?
Little Big Planet 2 is fine. It's just fine. It was announced on May 8th, 2010, came out on January 18th, 2011 in North America, and it came out fine. I'm just gonna talk about the story now, because nothing much has changed control-wise in the game, they just kinda added more control options that I'll talk about later. So this game's plot starts off with the Negativitron, a vacuum-like creature, just like your mother, sucking up areas of Craft World and all its inhabitants, just like you. Enter Larry Da Vinci, a guy who's trying to form an alliance to take down the Negativitron, complete with voice acting.
I say, Sackboy,
I don't know, something about hearing these characters speaking made me worry that my roommates could hear through the walls. I was honestly embarrassed. The last game had a childish charm that was kinda infectious and fun. This one just kinda feels like, why am I watching the He-Man cartoon on a Saturday morning as a 20-year-old adult with a 9-to-5 job? I don't fucking know. But regardless, Larry recruits you and you begin your training, and well, you certainly train. You learn to use the new grappler gun, one of the new tools in this game, and it's really just not that fun. But coupled with these bounce pads, now we're talking. See, Little Big Planet 2 focuses heavily on these new forms of tech that you can find in each world, and these are the two you start out with. You go through Larry da Vinci's hideout doing random parkour challenges, and then you challenge Larry in a final test to prove you're ready for the real deal. Blow up his monkey robot thing and you're off to Victoria's lab, yeah! So Victoria... This nightmare fuel bakes stuff, and well, apparently it's got some issues that we need to take a look at thanks to the vacuum guy. You're given these gloves that let you pick up and throw certain objects, and honestly they're pretty cool. Throw stuff onto buttons, stack stuff on top of each other, move stuff out of your way. There's a lot of cool things you can do with these. As well as that, later on you get this cake thing, and well, it's honestly even cooler than the gloves. You can make platforms, make elevators, shoot these gremlin looking things, plug up machinery. I don't know, man, it just kind of feels cool. I feel creative when I use it. Beat this thing, and you're on to the only perfectly themed world in this game, the Factory of a Better Tomorrow. Now, for the first two worlds, they were loosely based on real-life locations and time periods, with Da Vinci's hideout being modeled after the 15th century, and Victoria's lab being themed after the Victorian era. Duh. However, those are straight shite compared to this marvel of thematic blending we get with the Factory. It's got a Cold War communist propaganda-filled 50s era theme with a little hint of retro futurism and sci-fi thrown in there. It's incredible. The music in this level, man. I can't really talk about most music in these games because a large amount of it is licensed, but this is too good to not talk about. Clive, or Clive, I don't know. Clive Hanforth, the head of this factory, is a kinda mopey fella who puts his work first and foremost, and this music perfectly jives with his personality alongside the theming of the world itself. Magnificent work. All that magnificence comes to a screeching halt, however, when the sackbots are introduced. You guys remember how much I like escort missions? Well, these are escort missions with about 10 different robot guys who will sometimes just randomly kill themselves. And if one dies, well, you don't get all the prizes, and as someone who really cares about this stuff, unlike Gerard Khalil, that's right, I'm calling you out, motherfucker! Anyways, beat the evil chicken. I don't know why it's an evil chicken. And you're off to Avalonia, a world that is just futuristic mumbo jumbo run by an egotistical piece of trash named Avalon. Get trained to use a rabbit, a hamster, a bee, and a dog. Survive the levels, and you're done. I'm done.
Batstewie.
I don't want to do this world anymore, it's boring. You get into a giant spaceship and head off to beat the Negativitron, but it's destroyed in the final level, so you go to Eve's Asylum to find Herbert Higginbottom, a guy who's apparently been corrupted by the blurg that the Negativitron shot out, which caused him to go mad. Only he can repair Big Spaceship, as they call it. Has Mr. Higginbottom been referred to at all up to this point? No, he comes out of nowhere. Great. Well, you go through Eve's Asylum, free Herbert, and then go to the Cosmos to take on the Negativitron. And honestly, I think all the Asylum levels are kind of samey. You get this water gun to put out fires. It's kind of fun, but like, other than that, there's nothing too noteworthy. Yo, who the f is that? Wait a sec. You? Yeah, the level where you go through a psych ward and see a bunch of familiar faces is equal parts nostalgic, funny, and concerning. Like, you're telling me after meeting me, all of my friends went insane? Yeah, it kinda checks out.
What?
But it's Cosmos time. Hope you like sackbots and floaty physics, cause that's basically all there is. Avalon gets eaten. Good. Rest in piss. Finally, you get to the Negativitron, and with your newly formed alliance, you take him down once and for all. And I mean, you really take him down. I mean, like, he explodes. And so that's the story. It tried being grander, and it lost a lot of its charm while doing so. I can't explain exactly why, but the voice acting, it feels like overacting to me and just legitimately hurts my soul for some reason. And the level themes aren't nearly as interesting. I like the new technology as it gives new platforming opportunities, but when I think of more Little Big Planet, I think of new locations that aren't Blue and White World. However, they did add technology beyond the normal platforming, and those levels feel much more like an arcade-style game, and those are honestly pretty cool. The last level of Eve's Asylum has you shrinking down and going into Herbert pervert's mind to try and fix his insanity in a pretty cool top-down shooter. I really like those levels, honestly, and hey, if you ace the final levels of each world and don't die, you also unlock special costumes, those being the creator-curators. I like Clive. And finally, dude, they added prizes to the minigames, wow! Now I have a reason to play them! Some of these are races, some are survival challenges, and some are versus minigames, and they're honestly all pretty fun. Also, Batman DLC, wow! I love Batman! So yeah, 7 out of 10 in my eyes. The online of this game is where it truly shined, and again, we'll get to that. But for now, let's end things off with the only game in the mainline series I haven't talked about. That's right, LittleBigPlanet PSP. Yeah, I have a couple of issues with LittleBigPlanet 3. See, I got it for Christmas the year it came out, and, well, it was a glitchy mess that crashed, I lost my progress, and didn't carry over any of my DLC from the first 2 games for some reason. Couple that with a story that has the same problems of the second game in my eyes, and, well...
You don't even deserve the trash. You deserve... Freezer. Goodbye.
So yes, we will now be looking at LittleBigPlanet PSP. Now to clarify, this game was released on November 17th, 2009 and was made by Sony Computer Entertainment Cambridge in conjunction with Media Molecule. Obviously, Media Molecule was hard at work on LittleBigPlanet 2, but I'm sure they had plenty of say in this game as well. Now let me tell ya, this game does so many things right. For starters, the jumping is the best in the series. No, I'm not kidding. The PSP version of the game has the best controls. What the hell? And the story of this game is very similar to the first one, just with brand new locations based on areas not looked at in that first game. This is everything I wanted from the actual LittleBigPlanet sequel. So the story of this game starts off after LittleBigPlanet 1. Sackboy wants a vacation and goes down under to the Australian outback. You're going through the first level of the game, going through another tutorial, but this time taught by a kangaroo. So much better than those privy royal pieces of shit. You also meet Bruce. He's Bruce. Key to any vacation, really. Next up is a level themed around didgeridoos, and again, yeah, that's pretty stereotypical, but hey, look, they actually have references to Aboriginal Australian mythology and stuff, so, I mean, I think it kind of balances out. There's also this giant penguin thing. Kind of reminds me of Pen Pen. Shoutouts if you guys get that reference. Then you meet the Mystic, the creator of Down Under. He gives you a perk and then you go into this dream sequence, and then he reveals he needs your help to make sure other creator curators get invitations to his parade. So much for our vacation, I guess. But after our dream sequence, we head off to the Orient in China and get right back into stereotypes. We meet Emperor Sario, a young leader who's dealing with some dragon issues. He says he'll go to the parade at the carnival if we help solve his issues, and well, the first task of his is to help rebuild his Great Wall. And apparently all his current engineers are on tea break, so we're basically the entire backbone of his operation. You end the level off with a peaceful stroll across the bridge to admire all the work you've done, and for the love of fuck! Next up, you've got this honestly fantastic level where you're escaping the dragon via rickshaw and firing cannonballs into his mouth to slow it down. Eventually you end up on foot, and even then it's still a blast. This is honestly the best of these types and levels in all of LittleBigPlanet, in every game. This is legitimately just peak design. Also, I like the dragon. Kind of reminds me of Fortnite. At the end of the level, the dragon says it's just mad because the Emperor took his egg, and asks if you can help return their baby to them. Well, I mean, I'm not exactly supportive of child abduction, so I guess next up is time for an egg extraction. This is another one of my favorite levels in the entire series, as it sees you saving the egg from the Emperor before he uses it for fried rice. Actually, you know what? That actually sounds pretty good. Screw it. I'm all for child abduction if it means I get fried rice. But surprise, surprise, the Emperor's actually okay with it being returned, and just says that his mom has locked it away in the treasure room, so we've gotta find the code to unlock the vault. This level is unorthodox, as it's not just a straightforward dash to the exit, you actually have to go through 4 different platforming challenges, and some even involving those rarely used jetpacks, all to find a piece of a code. Find all the pieces, put in the code, return the egg, and congrats. You finally solved a human-wildlife conflict that would have lasted generations. The dragon even says it'll name his child after you. Sack Dragon. I don't want to see what that looks like. The dragon gives us a lift over to the Bazaar, a Persian area created by the Genie. I miss Robin Williams. I'll f***ing kill you! Okay, but this level is titled Cheeky Monkey, but see, actually, I think there was a mistranslation coming from across the pond over in England, because, well, what I think they meant was a stupid jackass monk, because this freaking simian here that steals the lamp, well, he's a stupid jackass. You follow the monkey through the streets until you get to the next level, the Thieves' Den. You sneak into the den by hopping in a pizza delivery guy's bag, and then you get to looking for the stolen lamp. All while this really annoying music plays in the background.
I need a bottom here.
Maneuver your way through these simian stumbling blocks, defeat the King Thief in a fiery battle, and speak with definitely not Robin Williams, that's for sure. And there you go. For the final level, you fly on a magic carpet, for some reason. I mean, stereotypes, I guess. It's kind of fun, but also kind of... You go through another platforming section, find the cat from Bob the Builder for some reason, ride a carpet again, and then you're done. You enter the lamp and get transported to the next world to finish everything off, and honestly, this world was really good too. Not nearly as great as the China level, but hey, started to top perfection. But the lamp teleported you over to Golden Sands, a world based on Egypt headed by Prince Fanubis, who's trying to build a theme park. Great name, terrible world. Okay, look, the first level's cool. There's a lot of variety in locales. You go underground, through a pyramid, up the side of a pyramid, through a desert oasis, and you get to f around with fruit.
And boy, if I had $1 for every time I said that one.
Then you ride a racing camel, and well, now you're stuck doing work for Prince Fanubis. That should be fun. Next level. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've done it. We've got the worst level in Little Big Planet history.
Besides all the ones in 3, probably. I don't know though, I'm not touching that.
You have to use this jetpack to drag equipment for the Prince's Funland all around the place, and it's really unintuitive, really bad design, just not great. Then you have to keep all of it on a boat and rely on the physics engine to not screw you over. I just didn't bother. And then this guy has the audacity to say 100 disappointments, like, no, you lazy bastard, you don't get to say that. Well, at least in this third level, we get to try out this dude's fun park and inspect his safety. We reach the conclusion that it's mostly safe. I mean, the world as a whole was fine, but man, that middle level was just so awful. It just dragged down the experience. I really hope the next world makes up for...
Was feeling lonely, till I found a cog-based man who said he'd hold me. Now I'm in his even though he's a guy. Happy to find love. Now he's my clock-based I whip my out for the clock man.
Next up, the Alpine Run, set in the European Alps. It's run by the only proof of God I'll ever need.
Besides Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo, of course.
Clock Hans. He greets you by getting pissed that you broke his invention when you crashed into his house and tells you to go find his kids. He's a little bit of a butthole here, but I mean, goddamn. How could we ever hate him? So you're off to find our round deity's offspring. You gotta dodge the cold and oddly electrified ice and jump over clockwork stuff. Meet the snowman, tear his head off, climb in his skin, hop on ice skaters, ride a ski lift, and find Big Hans, who apparently got lost while playing hide and seek. Now he wants to go home and eat chocolate.
Me too, man.
Then we go look for second Hans. We get a bunch of balloons hidden away in an ice cave, one of which is stored in a house that I'm gonna guess was covered in an avalanche. And another is guarded by this guy.
Pretty menacing, I know.
You find second Hans, who's worried that little Hans is getting hungry as he hasn't eaten for 20 minutes. Checks out. Lastly, you have a level where a dog guides you through another snowy cavern and a lodge to try and find little Hans. He wags his tail whenever he smells something good, to which you can dig down and find out what's there. He sniffs out the, quote, annoying bratwurst, so you go down to find him, and, well, he broke the mountain and wants you to roll him home. Good God. In return, the second coming of Christ uses the teleportation thing to send us over to the next world, and legitimately, this world was great. I'm partial to Scandinavia and to ice levels.
And to Clock Hans.
What the fuck?
But I do feel the theme here was worked with wonderfully, and the difficulty was just right. Excellent stuff, right on par with China, honestly. Next up is Tinseltown. Oh boy, everyone loves Hollywood. You get to meet the director, and he instantly casts you in his next movie as a stuntman. Great. Kinda looks like George Lucas, too. Anyways, you're in a sci-fi movie, and these aliens are not screwing around, dude. You die a lot. In this section, you try and stay in frame without getting shocked, and I feel like now's a good time to mention you can't run out of lives in this game, and you don't have to ever restart the level. That's just a feature in 1 and 2, and that's really good, because some of these levels get really difficult. Then more sci-fi scenes. You get abducted and try to break free from a UFO, and end up having to blow up Mother Brain from Metroid. These levels are hard. Jesus. Next level, you're cast in an action movie as the star who does his own stunts, just like Tom Cruise, wow. You save the leading lady from this evil scientist by parachuting from a jet, you dodge robots, lasers, and probably some lawsuits too, and then you're off to go claim your award. You get to the awards, take out the paparazzi, and all seems well and good until King Kong comes down and takes your leading lady. Traverse up a building and pull out the giant ape's teeth in absolutely brutal fashion. This boss fight is just cool and cruel. You save the damsel in distress who says something about a prenup. That's awesome. And then you're off to the carnival set in Brazil. Honestly, there ain't much to say here. You go through the levels, get stuff to decorate your float based on places you've been, and that's the game. And honestly, it's the fixed controls combined with the same charm you could find in Little Big Planet 1 that makes this the best game in the series for me. The costumes in this game are fantastic as well, and the minigames actually also give you prizes. Now some might say that's utter blasphemy, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say right here, right now, this is probably a 9 out of 10 game for me. Yep, there we go, said it. And so that is not actually all I have to talk about. Let's move on to Little Big Planet Vita, which I acquired through entirely reasonable and upright means. Okay, well we're not doing that today. Let's talk online. It's dead now. Yeah, that's sad. Here's the thing, I've been busy working on this video for over a year now, and when it started, I was still able to play the user-created levels thanks to Little Big Planet 3. Meaning, yes, I did spend money on that abhorrent piece of garbage, but it was worth it. And though I didn't capture any footage, I was able to get a little taste of what made this game so special to everyone who played it over the years. The imagination of the community. People from around the world made levels ranging all genres of gaming or otherwise. You had your platformers that oftentimes completely reimagined the mechanics of the game, full-ass RPGs, leveling up systems and all, that would take 30 minutes to load into sometimes. Yeah, that was crazy. Minigames similar to those you'd see hidden away in the story mode, and even some full-ass movies. I mean, some of these were 50 minutes long, and others were made by some kid in Virginia who won a Sonic contest one time. Alright, we don't need to talk about that one. Personally, my greatest memories with online levels will always be tied to the fighting games. My absolute favorite one was this one, Super LBP Fighter 2 Turbo. I had no clue it was a Street Fighter clone, but I loved seeing the wacky-ass physics engine cause the wooden limbs to go flying. It really did something to me. Also, Guile was busted. Look at these flips. This was a great fighter for LBP though, and another great fighter was definitely not this. This was probably the level I spent the most time in, and I'm a little ashamed of it. 11-year-old me laughed his ass off at it every time though. And Seinfeld. Because why wouldn't there be Seinfeld? At heart, Little Big Planet was about creativity. The campaigns were supposed to get your mind racing at the thoughts of what you could achieve by yourself, and I think it's clear to see that that goal definitely worked. Millions of levels were uploaded, and many pushed the boundaries of what could be done with these little sack bastards. And trust me, I wasn't good at making stuff by any means, but even I had my moments where I'd mess around and just see what I could do on my moon, which is where you create things. I always went to making rockets or just flooded the world, or made dicks. But it was great. This series is special. This community is special. I hate to see how suddenly Sony dropped it, but it did have to happen eventually, so here's just hoping Little Big Planet 4 can, be existent someday. And be good.
You don't even deserve freezer. You deserve oven. 355, bitch.
And that was Little Big Planet. It's got high highs, low lows, and just like everything else in the world, f***ing died. But despite being deceased, the game is still special, and the community is still special, like I said a million times already. But now we have games like Sackboy's Big Adventure, to an extent, and Dreams to kind of carry on the creative legacy of this series. But the problem is, I don't have a physical copy of Dreams, which means I can't eat it. Also, yeah, still in that little rut. No food, no brain. What I need is a backup plan. We gotta find something else. Ah. Down the hatch, then. Real good.